Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi. Wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam tabaraka wa salama tasliman kasiran kasira amma ba'd. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa man ahsanu qawlan mimman da'a ila Allah wa amila salihan wa qala innani minal muslimin. My dear brothers and respected elders, the whole world is in chaos. When there is no deen, there is no obedience to the orders of Allah, the whole world will be in chaos and turmoil and disaster. Now we have COVID-19, sprawling the whole world and infecting almost millions of people, and some thousands of people have died out of the disease. And above that, there are many people, as a consequence of the pandemic, COVID-19, they have stress, loss of job, unable to fulfill their needs. They tend to go to crimes, snatching bags. There are many cases of robbery, even in Malaysia. In Japan, there are an increased number of people who are committing suicides. All the while, the numbers have never reached above 2,000 in a month. But in October, it has gone above 2,000. It breaks the record. Numbers of people committing suicides, and the major causes which are related to the crimes committing suicide are the pandemic, COVID-19. So the whole world is in turmoil. Not to talk about what has happened in America, in India. Not long ago, there was great protest going on in India when the new Immigration Act being passed by the government of India. And now there are protests among the farmers now. They are going out in strike in thousands. They do not like the law which has been passed, controlling the price of their products, of their produce. So, in South America, in Venezuela, great poverty. Not to talk about Venezuela, even in the Arab country, the whole Arab country is in war. The country north of Israel is, what's a small country? Lebanon now. So whole government collapse. The people lose trust. They go they go on strike almost every day. They cannot eat. There is enough food. These are the situation which has been, infecting the whole man in the whole world. And there is one very important reason actually, which no one knows. Everybody is thinking that we do this so that we will better life. we do this so that we get better life. The better life which we had never achieved so far. We are only having problems. From one problem to the other, from one problem to the other. Climate change now, problem of racial discrimination in almost all parts of the world, particularly in America, after years of, the slave. They've taken the slave in the year of 1600. They've taken the slave from Africa to work in their farm, like we are now taking Bangladesh, Indonesian, to work in our factories and our farm, but not as slave. But those days, they've taken them as slave because they are developing that time. America is developing, Europe is developing. They don't have workers, as we are now in Malaysia. We don't have workers to work in our farm, in our factory, to clean our roads. Because the local have some other job to do. They don't want to do that job. So similarly, that was happening in America in 1600. We are happening in 1900, 2000. But in America, Europe, well, that was happening. The same thing as what it has happened in Malaysia now, happened in America way back in 1600. They've taken, massive number of people from Africa as slaves to work in their cotton farm and everything. So now, after a while, they don't want to become slave anymore. So when Abraham Lincoln became President of America, he dissolved. No one should become slave. But the thing doesn't, disappear all at once, even though the law is passed. Still the discrimination goes on. The white can never accept this slave of ours become at par with them, can never. 1600 now to 2000, nearly 400 years. Understand? They can never take the African whom they have taken as slave to be at par with them. As Malaysians are not willing to take the Bangladesh who have come to work here in their factory as at par with them. But not that extreme, but they don't want to be friends. Even Rashidi, who are of the lower class among us, are not willing to be friends with Bangladesh, looking down at them. So these are racial problems. Discrimination all over the world, not only in America, but America is of the extreme. Malaysia is less, that's all. But it exists. So similarly in Japan, foreigners are not it's not that welcome, but they need them. But they don't welcome them. Nobody can get citizenship in Saudi. After working for so long, they can never get Japanese citizen, unless they're married to a Japanese woman. So many Bangladeshi, many Indian, many Ceylonese, many who have gone to work in Japan, after so many years, they don't want to become just using passport. So they want to become permanent resident. So the only way they can do that is to marry the Japanese woman. Japan is such a very industrialized country, highly technology, and yet everybody is not satisfied with their life. They end up having stress of extreme level, not small level, extreme level. End up killing themselves. In a month, 2,000 people killing themselves. We know about this fact, not now. Many years ago, many years ago, I know this fact. it was told to me every 1 minute in Japan, someone kill themselves. So what's wrong, my dear brother? Certainly there is something wrong, but the Japanese government are not trying to tackle this problem because they do not know how. Everybody is thinking that if I'm of no use, I'll just kill myself. If my car is of no use, I just throw it out. That is Japanese attitude. In our country, like Rashidi, he has gone to the brink of having the feeling that he's no use, but he still are not committing suicide. But if he's a Japanese, he surely have take his life off. And the next day we find Rashidi just, fall down, hanging himself in the room, dying. And this is what happened. Now there's many ways to kill yourself, not only having ropes, eating drugs, excessive painkillers, sleeping pills. People die. So my dear brothers, there's something wrong, which everybody knows, but are not willing to admit and not willing to cure it. How to get the whole entire world out of this dilemma, out of this problem. Pandemic. It's not epidemic, pandemic. This is the disease of the soul that make a person lead to suicide. And now with lacks of job, being retrenched from their work, having no food to eat. Just imagine I have a kids. The kid have no milk. The kid got no food. How do you feel as a father? I can't get money now. How am I going to get money? I'll have to snatch some woman, bags, walking around, having money inside the bag, and I just drive my motorbike and snatch the bag. And then run away with it. Probably I have a few hundred to feed my children. Or, this Rashidi will become one if he doesn't have deen now. He will be the one to become the person who will snatch the bags. If he has no iman. Understand? Because you can't bear seeing your children not eating. Can you? So similarly, when you ask Allah, there's no food, no job. Our salat is also not answered. Then where should we go? Nobody wants to give money to us. They themselves have no money. Then there are people who are just eating once a day or not a day, not even a day, once a day, not even once a day. So these are famine. They are widespread famine, but there is isolated cases of famine. But still, they give problems. So who are the owner of this world? We must ask. Are we the owner of this world? Or Allah is the owner of this world? Now, if we are not the owner of this world, Allah is the owner. So in order to make this world to be at peace, in order to make this world to be at peace and harmony, we have to be good to the owner of this world. Because like we are renting house, we are not the owner of the house, we are only renting. But we do a lot of havoc in the house. And cause so much damage. So certainly the owner of the house will not be kind to us. Will they? Will they be kind to us? No. Similarly also, we are not the owner of this world. We are only residing for a certain time and then we will die. So the owner is Allah. In order to make Allah to be happy with us, pleased with us, we should be obedient to His orders. Understand? That's all the simple way on how to solve our problem. This worldly problem, climate change, all of a sudden now temperature rises now. The ice in Antarctica melt down and it raises the surface of the sea. And certain area in America will sink and become below seawater. Netherlands, the water will go above the wall that they have made, and the whole country will be flooding with water, and they may have to run away from there. Maldives will be sinking and disappear. So, years to come, there will be many parts of the world which will disappear from the surface of the earth. Similarly, this has happened many years ago also. This has happened to many parts of the world before, prior to this, when lands are sinking. See, all this problem of the world can only be solved by Allah, the owner of this world. Allah is not only the owner of this world, the owner of the heavens. There are 7 heavens, and there is 7 continents of the earth. We don't say 7 heaven. In Malay, they say 7 heaven and 7 earths. There is no 7 earths. There is 7 heavens and 7 continents of the earth. There is only one. He is the owner of the earth and the heaven, and what it is between the earth and the heaven. Allah. We are not owning anything. So we should be submitting to His orders to make Him pleased. Then only He will turn the whole world to become a place which is conducive for us to live. Peace and tranquility. And the whole problem will be solved. We cannot solve the problem of this world. We cannot solve the climate change. We cannot solve any problem at all. None. We cannot even solve our own problem. We cannot even solve now, currently, we have the problem of pandemic, of COVID-19. Who can solve that problem? Are you not seeing that the one who can solve the problem is Allah? Or are you seeing that there is certain hopes of vaccines and things like that? All countries in the world rushing to invent a vaccine to make money. But will the vaccine cure or will it not? It depends. If Allah do not give the power for the vaccine to cure, it will not cure. The one who give benefit and harm, none but Allah. We may have money, but it may not give benefit for it. It may give harm. Hakim is trying very hard to solve his problem. Until today, he cannot own a house. Why? Allah does not want to give him a house. The simple reason is only there. If Allah give him house, without money he can have house. But he got a lot of money. One time, he make, good business, seems to be good business, but not good business. He bought a house and renovated it. He was making some swimming pool inside the house. I know. Thinking that the house will be forever with him. But what happened? The house has to be relinquished. Just after a few months of building the house. So Allah is not giving him a house. Until today. At the age of 50, he doesn't have even a house. Renting. Like Yazid, not even a house. Residing house of his mother-in-law, father-in-law. So it is not us, it's not our money who can give us house. It's not our money who can give us anything, wife, food, or anything. It's Allah. Allah is the doer, Allah is the nourisher, Allah is the provider. Allah is the one who gives harm or benefit. None other than Allah. And these very simple rules and simple laws that we have to know and to be convinced. Not only to know. Many people know. If we ask who created this earth, they say Allah. But they don't have in their heart the belief. It's only in the mouth. Even the small child, even the kuffar will say Allah. They will not say other than Allah. Who is creating these heavens? Anybody will be able to answer other than Allah? No. Even those who worship the idol will say Allah. The kid will say Allah. Everybody will say Allah. It doesn't mean that you believe in Allah. Belief is in the heart. And the belief will influence the actions. You know? Hakim hasn't got the belief that this work is the work of the prophets. You know, to spend time daily, to call people to Allah is the work of prophets. And also the work of those who follow the prophets. It is the ayat of the Quran. Kul hazihi sabili ad'u ilallah ala basiratin ana wa man ittaba'ani. It is the work of Nabi and the work of those who follow the prophets. We have not to follow the saints. We are not to follow the ulama. We are not told to follow anyone but except Nabi. Because why? The Nabi are the people of Allah who get instruction from Allah. We have given revelation from Allah. Other than Nabi and the prophets, they don't have. So how can we follow other than the prophets? But the tafseer has been made wrongly. Ihdina siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim. Now give us the true path, the path of those whom you have given ni'mah or blessing. And interpreted as those who have been given ni'mah as ulama, syuhada, anbiya. No, all the rest are not to be followed except anbiya. That is a correct tafsir. Because why should we follow the ulama? We follow the syuhada. They are the one who have to follow the anbiya. They become ulama, they become syuhada only when they follow anbiya. Why we have to follow them? So everyone has to follow anbiya, not ulama, syuhada, as being tafsir all this while. That is wrong. And then they make tafsir and not to make us to follow those whom your rest is upon them. No? And we tafsir that as Yahudi. And then, and not of those whom are deviated. We tafsir that as Nasrani. It's a normal tafsir of Quran being done by all the mufassirin. This is wrong. So the Muslim, the one who recited the kalimah, completely not in that group. Who don't obey Allah, you know. They are not in that group because there are only two, Yahudi and Nasrani. It's not that. The people whom the rest of Allah fall upon them are not Yahudi only. All those who do not recite the kalimah, or who have recited the kalimah wrongly, adding anything, or who have recited the kalimah and their recitation by kalimah are not accepted by Allah, the hypocrites. And who are the walad dalins? Those who are deviated from the road are the one who recited the kalimah and yet they do not follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are the one who are called deviated, and they will go hellfire. Those who have recited the kalimah and yet they do not obey and follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do not do this work of dawah, understand, will go to hellfire. And the kuffar, mushrikeen, Yahud, Nasrani, all go to hellfire. the only one who do not go to hellfire and save from the hellfire and go to paradise are those who follow the prophets, who are on the right path, who are able to become the true believers with the good deeds. If you only recite the kalima and you don't do this work of Nabi, which is also your work, you'll never be able to become the true believer with good deeds. You know, if you recite the kalima and you don't do this work of Nabi, because he said, Ana wa mani tabani ittiba. You cannot become the true believers with good deeds. And when you don't become the true believer with good deed, you surely will go to hellfire. Understand, Hakim? So the ayat wal asri, yeah? With time, Allah says, I swear with time, all will be at loss. All will be thrown into hellfire, except illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salih, the true believers, the good deeds. And what is the work that they should do? Watawasaw bil haq, to invite people to the truth. And this is the work of Nabi. And to do the work with patience. That means istiqamah and constancy. Huh? Whenever people do harm to you while doing this work of watawasaw, you should pay or with good deeds. We must what do you call it? Whoever do harm to you while doing this work, you should repel it with good deeds. Not like what Rashidi often do while in Gash. And he is not obedient me till this day until lately. He was fighting even with his wife. And he asked me, is fighting with the wife reduce my iman? I said, surely. Not fighting with the wife, fighting with anybody. Don't fight. Reconcile. Forgive people. You know? So my dear brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this deen, Islam. But it has to be obeyed, the orders. In order for us to be able to obey the orders, we need to have that level of iman. Not simply reciting the kalima will make us able to obey, to have Islam. Islam is the tree. It cannot grow without the roots. And the root has to sink deep down so that they get the water. If the root is only on the surface, you know, like some plants, you know, they will give a trunk of tree, high and tall. So, the root has to go deep into the land. And that root is the iman. Understand? And that iman has to be nourished with the work of ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar. And the work of ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna has to be nourished with sacrifice. So in order for the iman to penetrate like the deep into the earth, you know, you need to nourish the land. The land is the work of inviting people to good and forbidding people from evil. But the land will not be fertile if you do not give sacrifice. In doing the work of inviting people to Allah, or in doing the work of inviting people to good and forbid people from the evil, we must do the work of inviting people to Allah or inviting people to good and forbidding people with sacrifice of our time, you know, with our wealth, you know. Otherwise, the land will not be fertile, the seed, what is that called? The root will not be healthy, will not go deep down the earth, you will not be able to take water, and you will not be able to have a tall trunk and trees with full of fruits and leaf. The trunk and all the branches are the deen, Islam. So Islam need foundation. The foundation is iman. But what makes us to have iman? We have to do the work. We have to put in the soil. Iman is like the soil. The soil has to be nourished with sacrifice. Then only we can have tall trees with good fruits. And the trees that bear fruits which are sweet. It is said that the fruits are the akhlaq. And the sweetness is the sincerity. Very nicely elaborated and illustrated by Maulana Umar Palampuri. The fruits are the akhlaq. The taste of the fruit is the ikhlas. If we may have fruits but sour or tasteless, that means no ikhlas. So nobody wants to eat that fruits. Like Rashidi, not ikhlas. Because no iman, how can you have ikhlas? If you have no iman or very weak iman, not to the level which Allah is pleased, you will not be able to have ikhlas in all of your works. And as a result of not having ikhlas, all of your deeds are not accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to become the true believers of good deeds. Otherwise, we will go to hellfire. We will not be able to enter paradise. And the work that we have to do is the work of Nabi. Allah told Prophet ﷺ to tell us that that is his work and the work of those who follow him. And if we are not doing this work, we are not following the sunnah, and we are among those who are deviated from the true path. And certainly, when we become the people who are deviated from the path, we will go to hellfire. We will not be able to go to paradise. Okay.